If you're new to OpenSees and using the Tickle interpreter, you may be a little bit surprised by the command syntax of the language. For example, if I do e equals mc squared here, which this might be what would show up in some other languages, well, it tells me that e is not a command, obviously. This is because in Tickle, the first word in a line is going to be the command. So to assign variables, you have to use the set command. So I can set a to 5, and that will assign the value a to the variable 5. So then I can access it later with a $sign. So it's a little bit different. With variables, you have to access with a $sign. And then with math, you have to use a command that then interprets it as math. So that command is the expression command. So I can do expression 2 plus 2. I can do expression 2 plus a, and then I'll substitute in a. And then additionally, you can also have it be braced. So you can do 2 plus a, and it'll do the same thing. So the difference between these two is that without bracing the expression, it actually does double substitution. And this can be handy sometimes. For example, I can say set func to be 2 plus a. So I can save a function or a string that I want to pass to the expression command. So I can do expression func, and that will actually perform the substitution. So it does a double substitution. So first substitutes func, and then it substitutes in the variable a. So there's actually, if you don't want this double substitution behavior, which honestly is most of the time, then it's actually better to brace your expressions. And I can prove this really quickly. So if I time expression 2 plus 2, and let's do that 10,000 times, well, that gets me about a microsecond per iteration. Now if I brace it, 2 plus 2, because you don't need to double substitute because there are no variables to double substitute, there I get about a 10-fold improvement. So if you're doing anything with performance with Tickle, you're going to want to brace your expressions if you don't need double substitution. So that's just a little side note. Another thing, if you're working with Tickle, you may find things get kind of cumbersome with math. For example, if I do, let's say I just want to change a to be absolute value. So as I say, set a expression, and if I want to have performance, I brace it, absolute value of a. And there's the expression command kind of has a mini language of its own. There's a whole lot of math functions. There's a whole page on the documentation dedicated to the math functions. So that's a lot just to compute the absolute value. It'd be nice if you could just do absolute value, a, and then you get it immediately. So the thing is, you can. If you configure your namespace path, which right now, if I query it, it's nothing. There's no namespace path. So if I instead configure it to be Tickle math func, then when it's looking up commands, it'll also look up in the math function namespace, which is the place where all of the expression math functions are stored. So now I can access absolute value directly. And there we go. It does it like that. So now it'll be set a absolute value a, which is a lot more readable and a lot more doable. So if you're running your OpenSees analysis and you want to have direct access to math functions, that's something you could do. One side note is that it still won't work with, this doesn't allow you to use operators directly, so you still can't do 2 plus 2. However, there is a math operator namespace. So if you really want to, you can do this, although I don't do this personally. So I could configure my namespace path to be Tickle math func and Tickle math op. So now you actually have access to all the math operators. So because the first word always has to be the command, it's a little bit different. It's not the same math syntax. So it would be plus 2, 2. So it's adding 2 and 2 together. So it's kind of like the add command. So this can work with, if you want to take the divisor of 2, for example, gets you 0.5. So you can string things together here. You could say set a to be plus 2, and then you could do absolute value of -5. So this will add, this should be 7. There you go. So that is a way to bring math more to the main command space. But me personally, I only bring in the math function commands just because of the specific cases where it's just a lot more readable to bring in the math functions directly. So that's about it. Actually, one other thing. So just a note, this stuff only works on scalars. So the expression command is a scalar, works on scalars. Well, it can work on lists, so there's like expression 5 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll return I think I need to brace it. There we go. So you can query if something's in a list or something like that. So you can work with some lists, but for the most part, it's dealing with scalars. So if you do addition, it's going to expect a scalar. So if you want to deal with lists, I'm going to be coming out with something soon regarding this, but one thing that I use a lot is the lmap command. It's something that's relatively new with Tickle, and basically what it allows you to do, you can do like lmap x, and then you can have a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can do like expression 5 plus x, and this will return a list adding all those up together. So yeah, so that's about it. That's how you do math with scalars and also vectors as well if you want to use the lmap command.